welcome back to my channel. I'm Pacey and this is ZDR Makeup. Today I'm going to be doing a first impression on the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. This palette has been around for quite a while now, but I didn't get my hands on it until Christmas when my boyfriend actually bought it for me. It's just this beautiful warm tone palette that I'm sure you guys have all seen. So if you want to see the look that I created and see what I think about this palette, just stay tuned. Okay, so I've done my eyebrows off of camera because I thought it would just save time, and obviously the main star of the show is going to be the palette. I am just going to be priming my lids and I'm just using the Collection Lasting Perfection Ultimate Wear Concealer. This is in the shade Fair. I always use this as my eye base, so I thought it would just be, you know, fair to just do it the same as normal. Then I'm just going to be blending that in with my damp beauty sponge. This is just one from Primark and honestly it is so good. Like, it's like £3 I think, and it's really nice. Okay, so now that has been all blended in, I'm just going to set it down just so that eyeshadow doesn't stick and go patchy in areas. So I'm just going to be using the Juvia's Place 9-piece brush set, and I'm just going to be using that to set down my concealer. And this is just a translucent powder. You can just use any translucent powder really, just one that works for you. And then I'm just using a bigger brush just to brush everything away. Now we have our base. I'm just going to start off with the main item, and this is obviously the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. So I've actually never got any of the Naked palettes before. Like, this is my first one, so I'm really excited about this. So I'm just going to start off with the shade Sourced as my transition shade, and I'm using the Spectrum B06 brush. I'm just going to blend this into my crease. We'll just see how that goes. It's just a really nice light neutral transition shade. There is a tiny bit of fallout on my cheek already, but that's not a problem for me because I always do my eyes before my face, just because I'd rather not mess up my base foundation. But obviously if you're doing your makeup, your eyes after your makeup, you might want to bear that in mind. So now I have my transition shade down, I'm just going to go in with the shade Low Blow, and I'm just also going to blend Low Blow into my crease. And I'm going to try and use as many eyeshadows as possible so I can get a real good understanding for this palette. So far these are blending really nicely, they're blended together really well. There's no patchiness, and again there's only a tiny bit of fallout. I'm now going to go in with Cayenne, and I'm still keeping that same brush and just blending this slightly below the other two, but still pretty much just in my crease and outer corner. Oh, and by the way, just ignore my eyebrows, I really need to like pluck them, they're just horrible, but I can't bother right now, so yeah. That's just added a lot more warmth and I really like that shade actually. It's still blending really nicely, and I'm just going in with this like tapered fluffy brush, and I'm going in with the shade He Devil, which is just a bit more red toned. So I'm going to get that on the outer corner again and just start working it into the crease. Going back in with that clean brush and just blending away any harsh lines. So far this looks just really natural. I definitely think you could just wear this palette on a daily basis, and it's just really versatile. Like, I feel like you could just use this for like any occasion, any time of day, evening. It's just a really versatile palette. Yeah, this is a really natural look, but then you've got the darker shades which you can create into an evening look. Now that's blended in really nicely as well, I'm going to go in with On Fuego, and I'm actually going to use the Naked Heat brush that comes with it, which is just this double-ended brush. And obviously because I've never had a Naked palette before, I've never tried their brushes, so this is quite exciting. So I'm going to be using this fluffy tapered side. So this is actually quite a dense brush. It's very soft but quite dense, it's not very fluffy, so I feel like this might be better for under the lash line, just, you know, buff out some product. And again, just going back in with the clean brush and blending that all together. Now I've blended that together, I'm going in with this last matte shade, which is Ashes, and it's not crazy pigmented, but it's really nice and buildable. I'm going to try and do that with a different brush because I don't feel like that packed on enough product. So I'm going to go in with this Eco Tools smudge and blend brush. I'm going to go in with the smudge side to start with, just to pack some on. I definitely don't feel like this shade's as pigmented as the others. This shade also has quite a bit of fallout. Now I've blended out that edge, I'm just going to create a lid shade. Okay, so I'm back, and off camera I just put a bit of white under my brow bone, and it's just the shade Penguin from the So Times Makeup Revolution palette, and then I've just cleaned up a bit of that fallout. So now, like I said, I'm going to be cutting the first half of my crease. So I am going to be using the Juvia's Place brush set. You just want it to be slightly above your natural crease to obviously make it visible when your eyes open. When I'm cutting my creases, because I have slightly hooded eyes, I just look up whilst the concealer's on my lid, and then where that line goes, I follow that around, and that's just a really good tip if you have like hooded eyes at all. So once I have cut my lid, I'm just going to kind of blend it in to the rest of the shadows. So I'm just going to use my finger to blend those edges together a bit better. And then I'm taking again a BH Cosmetics brush, and this is the 141. I'm just using that to buff the concealer in. And this will just get rid of like any excess like concealer that's not in my lid. And then again I'm going back in with that shade Ashes, and just blending that onto the concealer, just to blend it all nicely and make it look more seamless. Obviously you don't want a sharp change between the two, you just want them to transition nicely into each other. Okay, so now we have that, I'm going to test out one of these shimmery shades. So I'm just going to swatch the shimmery shades, and then we're going to work out which one we want to use. So there's Ounce, and this is just a light champagne with a bit of a sheen to it. So it's a nice natural shimmery shade. Then we have Lumber. So this is just a nice like peachy rose gold shade. I really like that actually. It comes out kind of a bit duochromy. So that's just that one. I'm kind of feeling that one. Then we have Dirty Talk, which is very similar, it's just a bit of a deeper shade. And then we have two more, so we have Scorched, which is definitely a lot more on the rose gold bronze kind of side, it's a lot darker than the others. And then finally we have Ember, which is the deepest, and that is just this shade right here, which is just like a brown with gold reflex in it. So they're all the shimmery shades that come in this palette. So I think I'm going to start off with Ember, but just on like the outer part, to blend the shade Ashes into obviously the cut crease. So I'm going to use another Juvia's brush. Let's just see what it's like dry. So even dry, it's picking up a lot of pigment, which is really nice. So let's just try it wet. Yeah, it just makes it that extra bit metallic. But honestly, wet or dry, this performs really nicely. Then I'm going to go in with the shade Scorched, which is the like rose gold shade, because I think it matches the reflex in Ember nicely. Okay, so these shimmery shades are just really pigmented. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with the shade Ounce, so I'm going to try it dry first, and I'm just changing to this W7 brush. So, even dryly that actually performs a lot better than it did on the swatch. But I'm going to try that wet as well. Yeah, that definitely makes it a bit more shimmery and metallic. And I'm just going to blend it into those other shimmery shades. So there we have this like half cooked crease that I've done with it. So I'm going to clean it up now, and I will be back in a minute and I will have finished up my face and can talk about this palette. Okay, so I'm back and I have finished the makeup look completely. So I've just obviously done my foundation, and the lipstick that I am wearing is by LA Splash, and it is in the shade, I have no idea, I will link it down below what shade this is, but yeah, it's just by LA Splash and it's one of their like Devil collection or whatever it's called. But yeah, so this is the finished look, and it's just like a half cut crease with like different like ombre shimmer. And my thoughts on the palette is, it's a really nice palette, I do love it, especially like the more neutral warm shades are just lovely. But the only thing I had a problem with was the shade Ashes in particular, like this dark shade. So it wouldn't blend like properly onto my lid, and when I was blending it, it was kind of blending away. But I don't know if that's like the brushes that I was using or the base or anything. That could be many factors. So overall, I really do love the palette. The brush is like nothing special, like I'd still rather use my other brushes, but the palette as a whole is really good, and I do recommend you get your hands on it. But definitely that shade Ashes I need to play around with a bit more. But when on the other eye, I did end up making it work more so using brushes like this, which is the BH Cosmetics 141, and also the Real Technique brushes like this, which is the domed shadow brush. Definitely worked a lot better with the shade Ashes, because they didn't kind of blend away the other shadows or anything, and it didn't pick up the shadows anymore like the others was doing, like it was literally pulling off the rest of the shadows. So it definitely works a lot better with these, and I did end up getting it to work in the end just amazingly, and the overall look I really love. So I am happy with this palette, and I will be using it loads, especially these more warm ready shades, which are like my perfect cup of tea. So yeah, really happy with this, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if you have this palette and what your thoughts are, and yeah, please like, comment and subscribe. Bye.